All right, everybody, welcome back to another Tech Support Live. I'm Alec, for all those who are new to the stream. I am Ben and Darren, I got your names backwards. We'll fix that.
Oh, no.
I'm an interactive media specialist here at NETGEAR. I do a lot of graphic design and photography and stuff for the live events like this. And joined with me today, I've got Michael, Ben, and Darren. We'll start off with you. All right, everybody, welcome back to another Tech Support Live. Oh, hold on, I got an echo. One second. For all those who are new to this. Sorry about that. Okay. Ben, I think we got a little echo coming from you too.
Ben and
Yeah,
fix it. We'll fix that. Oh, no. I'm an interactive media specialist.
Wait, where's this echo coming from? Hang on, guys. 1 second. So somebody has the stream on in the background. Make sure you mute that. Okay.
Mine off,
Okay, cool,
so.
cool. Okay, now we're set. Sorry
Yep.
about that interruption.
Yep.
So joined with me, I have Michael, Darren, and Ben.
Yeah.
Wait, that's stupid. That's my system, and for some reason I turned off the audio on the other system, and then it just popped right back up again. But it should be off now.
Okay, so Michael, go ahead and introduce yourself.
Continue on. Oh yeah, hi, I'm Michael. I'm a technical marketing manager at NETGEAR. I work a lot of trade shows for NETGEAR, so I set up a lot of the equipment that we talk about on these streams, and I get to have a lot of fun with playing with all our new products.
Awesome. And then we have Ben. I'm fixing your name tag right now, but you go ahead and introduce yourself.
Sweet. I am Ben Oswito, aka Zardu Ben. I am the brand experience manager for Nighthawk Pro Gaming. You'll find me here every Friday. You'll also find me every Monday on our console corner streaming for us. If it's something that's connected to gaming, I probably am connected to it somehow. So keep those PS4 questions rolling.
All right, and then last up we have Darren joining us today.
I'm Darren, tech support specialist and NETGEAR moderator. I'm here to help with any technical questions they throw my way.
Good stuff. And then for all of our viewers, as always, thank you for tuning in. We're at the very beginning of the stream, so people are filing in, but to help people find us, definitely drop a like. Really helps us with some visibility on YouTube so we can help out more people and engage with more of you. But
yeah, definitely drop a like below. Sorry, didn't mean to interrupt your flow there.
No, you're all good. That's pretty much everything I've got to say to kick off the stream. I think we can jump right into questions. We got a lot that came in as we were loading. And we have a very hot question to start off with, one that we get almost every week, and we always defer to Ben for this one. Having an issue with the PS4. This is a common question that we get all the time. Shady Joker says, a game I play doesn't have servers, so whoever hosts the game is the server. What can I do for my PS4 Pro with my Nighthawk to make it the best it can be? Thank you.
Okay, so 3 things. Before we get started, just wanted to shout out Shady Joker. Thanks for coming back. Dan and Vanessa Kitty. Thanks for also being a regular. So Shady, correct me if I'm wrong. Do you have a Nighthawk Pro Gaming router, or do you just have a regular Nighthawk? Because that'll make a difference on how I answer your question. But on the peer-to-peer, the hard part is that when you connect peer-to-peer, you're always subjected to whoever is hosting the game. And that's especially with like the EA Sports type games, FIFA, NFL, baseball, any of those games, you're connecting to another player. And if they happen to have, a crappy connection in the, that's like held together with, 2 tin cans and some floss in between, you're going to be subjected to their internet. What you can do is if you have a Nighthawk Pro Gaming router, you can actually filter out people with bad connections by using either the geofencing or you can use any of the QoS features in order to kind of filter those out. You can also create an allow and deny. So if you connect to somebody that's got just a terrible connection, you can actually deny that connection. So next time you won't connect to them. So yeah, just a couple follow-ups on that. Let me know. Nighthawk Pro Gaming, yeah. Just you could, Darren, you want to hop in on this? I would just, if you're getting a terrible connection on a peer-to-peer sort of connection, I would just put them on the deny list.
Yeah. Put them on the deny list, and if does he have an XR router?
Yeah, he's got a 500.
Yeah. You might just have to mess around with your Geofilter a little bit more to find the best sweet spot of connections you can get with peer-to-peer on your area. I mean, but sometimes that might not even help because some people have such hit and miss connections where they have really good ping for a second and the server's like, oh, let's connect to him, and then it tanks as soon as you connect to them really quickly because it got fooled into thinking it has a good connection. And so it's kind of on the other person more than you. Yeah,
and also you're going to see a little bit of, that's how some people kind of sort of cheat the system as well. I would take a look at like ping assist. That might be a good feature to enable in order to just connect to the a peer or a server that has a certain like ping range. But I would try filtering out with your Geofilter. What's your settings? Hopefully you're kind of keeping. I like to kind of keep my Geofilter within 300 miles of where I'm at, mainly because I just don't want to connect to stuff that's too far out where my ping or my latency starts creeping up towards 100.
Cool. Yeah. I mean,
I hope that answers your question. Let me know. We'll come back.
Totally. I mean,
you did miss one thing though. If you're doing peer-to-peer with your friends, are you going to put one of your friends on the blacklist?
I've done that before. But yeah, you can put them on the allow list. You can have them carry through. My brother is about 750 miles away, and he's on my allow list, but he usually has the worst connection. I try not to connect to him. I usually have him connect to me. Because I would rather it affect his gaming, not my gaming, and now I have that documented on the internet forever. So that's great.
Yeah, I was just gonna share like geofiltering, which you talked about, is really one of the hallmark features of Duma OS, and it's really what makes that router and that line like hands down the best in the industry. A lot of these other gaming routers, they kind of just tack on gaming and charge more for it, but you can't really say that about the Nighthawk Pro Gaming line. I mean, it really has features built in that are so much more powerful than anything else. And with Doom OS 3 coming out, which we're going to do a stream on pretty soon again. I know we already did that first Doom OS stream with Luke, and that was one of our most successful streams. We're going to do that again pretty soon. And, for all those who missed, the features or weren't able to tune into that stream, you can join us again and learn more. But I want to answer some more questions here, so let's move on to Greg.
Let's move on.
Yeah, we have Greg here asking if the EAX20 is compatible with the RAX 120. And the answer is yes, and that's a really good pairing because you want to maximize the Wi-Fi 6 capabilities of your router with a Wi-Fi 6 extender. So that would be great. There's also the EAX80 if you're interested in the higher spec. And the follow-up question here is, can I use more than one extender with my router? And the answer to that is also yes. I believe we suggest up to 4, if that's correct. You could technically do more, but it's a little, you're pushing it a little bit if you're doing that.
Yeah, usually they figure 3 to 4 max on that. Mm-hmm. And even with 2 or 3 of them, you're going to have a large amount of coverage on the home.
Yeah, and make sure that your router is like the most central in your house as you can make it, and connect the extenders directly to the router and not extender to extender. You can have problems when you start connecting extender to extender.
Totally. All good advice. So let us know if that answers your question, Greg, and if you need any more advice for us on extenders. We have a question from Toby Kills, who mentions to Shady Joker, why not just port forward? If your router has UPnP, then enable that. What would you guys comment about that?
That's to the PS4 question.
Yeah, this is the PS4 question.
Yeah, Michael or Darren, you want to take a swing at that?
Well, the port forwarding is only if you're having problems with communication, not if you're having issues with ping rates and things like that. But it certainly couldn't hurt to do port forwarding on the specific ports for the game that you're using. As far as UPnP, that's more of the local network. That really doesn't have anything to do with going out to the internet and what your connection is going to be like.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I would say, with the peer-to-peer type games, check their forums and see if there's some recommended ports that need to be opened. But geofiltering out, terrible connections will make your experience a lot better.
Cool. All right. Yep. Let's see. I want to make sure I'm not missing anybody. Question from Neil. Nice backgrounds. What software? Zoom. Custom backgrounds.
Yep.
Check it out. It's a pretty low key software. Not a lot of people know about it these days. So.
Yeah, it's this boutique voice and audio and video over internet software called Zoom. Yeah, they're a small company, but yeah, they have like this custom background that I have that's semi-functioning right now. I think because I'm in low light.
There you go. All right. Let's see. Question from Ali. Hi, was there last week. Still waiting fix for port list. Been waiting for the fix for about 3 months. Ali, can you remind us? I wasn't on here last week. I don't know if any of you guys remember this question from Ali, but yeah, remind us about your question, and we'll see if we can get that answered for you. Does anybody recall what he asked about last week?
We get so many questions. You're going to have to refresh our memory just a little bit. While we're waiting on that, like G-Earth, yes, I'm also an Xbox fan. And then Neil's a PC gamer. That's fantastic. We're gonna move on, but if you can remind us of your question, Ali, we'll get right back to you. To Be Killed says, "What's up, guys? I have which products use FQ_Codal, and does the XR300 run this?" That's a way of sorting out what is it, fair queuing controlled delay for. It's a way of classifying incoming packets. I can't go into specifics on what the XR300 uses on that, but we do deep packet inspection with all the XR routers.
Yeah, that's a very intelligent question.
Yeah. Not your normal like PS4 question.
I know. There you go. All right.
Not to say that PS4 people don't ask good questions. They do. Sorry. Not to isolate. Jeez.
All right. Who asked that last question? Sorry, I lost track here. Was that?
Oh, we're so I think we're down to Gabriel. Hello. Also another regular. So thanks for coming back. I am going to totally butcher this name, mainly because it's early. So Somaya has a question: affordable, stackable gigabit switch recommendation.
Well, if you mean stackable, do you mean like rack mounted? Because if you're asking for a rack mounted switch, affordability is usually not the name of the game. Those are pretty expensive. I think our M4300 is like kind of our flagship switch for rack mounted. Is that correct?
Yeah, but that's actually one of the definite high-ends on the switch. If they're looking for smaller one-U switches, we have pretty much any variation flavor that you need. If you're going to be stacking, you want to make sure that the switch has at least one 10 gig uplink port. That way, as you stack, there's no delay between the switches. But I'd recommend going out to our NETGEAR site and looking at all the switches we have, because we literally have hundreds and hundreds of switches in pretty much every variation you want. And NETGEAR does tend to have the most price-conscious pricing on all of our products. And so if you compare our switches to our competitors, you'll find price per gigabyte, we actually beat out the competitors.
Yeah, and there's really a switch for every need and every budget. So, you know, I would just go through that there, because it really is the situation of the installation that really kind of defines what you're looking for in a switch.
Totally.
Would you agree, Michael?
Absolutely. And whether you're looking for home or business, normally for home, you're not actually going to be using our business rack mount switches because they're incredibly noisy. So you have to have them completely in another room. They tend to require a lot more cooling. Well, in the home, we have a lot of the consumer level ones that still have a lot of power, like our, the XM router that has the two 10 gig ports, or switch that has the two 10 gig ports in it.
The SX10 is a fantastic.
That's it.
It's a fantastic switch that has two 10 gig, and they're actually multi-gig ports on it, and it's under $300. It's like, that's crazy.
Yeah.
For because those ports are usually, those multi-gig ports are usually about $100 per port. And it also has 10 ports on the back. So it's got two of the multi-gig and plus 8 1 gig ports, and it's got an internal operating system that allows you to prioritize and manage, and it also is it's just a great switch. I have it.
Yeah, and it looks a lot like a Cylon fighter, so that makes it even better.
Yeah, and just out of if you wanted to match all the other LED lights that you happen to have in your house, you can do that. I've got these chargers for my my Xbox controllers that are green when everything is charged, red when they're charging. So I actually have the Cylon portion of my Switch for that same green.
RGB is the name of the game.
It's so cheeky, but the thing is
it's fun. It's cool.
It warms my heart.
Yeah, it makes you feel like a gamer.
Yeah, well, it matches up. Like I have the exact. You can put a million colors in there, and so you can just match it up. Yeah, it just makes the whole sort of presentation of my gaming area very cool.
All right. Let's keep answering some of these questions. We got a comment from somebody that said 2 tin cans. I think they're making a joke about like putting the like satellite shaped cans behind your router. Apparently,
no. I was saying that you're connected to somebody with a crappy internet made up of 2 tin cans and some blocks. So okay. Thank you. The joke landed.
Gotcha.
Lots of questions and no one home. Let's see. Potato router. Probably still talking about that. What do we got? Oh, my hotspot data is better than my Wi-Fi, even when only one device is connected.
Sounds like you
have awesome hotspot connection, or you have really bad Wi-Fi.
Yeah, it sounds like your Wi-Fi is probably pretty bad.
Because that's not normal. Hello, thanks, Shady. Okay, I'll give that a try. So I think I can set my PS4 Pro to a certain. Can I set my PS4 Pro to a certain ping? Does everything connect to the router get the same ping?
So I feel like we should explain ping kind of more fundamentally.
Yeah.
Ben, go ahead.
So with that, not everything is going to have the same ping. It's really going to be, you're going to be prioritizing your PS4. So that's certainly going to get whatever your standing latency is to whatever your server is. So ping really, and Michael, jump in. It kind of goes back to sonar, doesn't it? Because of the sonar ping is everybody's watched those submarine movies where it's like boo, boo. That's the ping, and the ping is when that signal hits whatever object, and then it pings off of and comes back. So in internet connection, it's the same sort of idea. It's your signal going out to the server and coming back is actually your ping or your latency. And so
that's exactly it. It's how long does it actually take for that signal to get out to wherever it's supposed to go, and then a reply coming back. And depending on what you're connecting to, that's going to vary, every second, because there's going to be different amounts of congestion. But that's what the ping's for, is just to let you know how long is it taking you for your signal to get there and come back, which is why you want low ping rates in games. You want to make sure that the information you're getting back is as timely as possible. Otherwise, when you take that headshot, you miss by a mile.
Yeah.
Right. Or especially those corner encounters where you go around a corner, run into somebody, and it's whoever has the fastest reaction time it gets the shot. So that being said, just like sound pinging with sonar underwater, your internet is also dependent on distance. So the further away the server is, the longer that ping is going to be, which is where geofencing and geofiltering come in. Because games have multiple servers, you can connect to a closer server and thus eliminate any of the further away servers. So, for example, you're playing Fortnite and you're on the West Coast. And let's say that you live in Seattle. Now, on the West Coast, there are 2 servers for Fortnite. One is, and if you just switched in the game settings to West Coast as your preferred area, it's still going to bounce you between the 2 servers. And one server is in the Portland area. The other server is in the Los Angeles area. Now, you're in Seattle. So connecting to the Portland server gives you a great connection of, let's just say, like 35 to 50 milliseconds. If you connect to the Los Angeles server, now you're looking at 50 to 110 because of distance. So you'll want to connect to the one that has the lower the lower ping rate, and that's where ping assist comes in, and that's where geofiltering comes in, because now you can change that aperture to make it so that way the Los Angeles server is outside of your aperture, your range, and so you will not connect to that. You will connect to the Portland server, and so if you're a gamer that's in Seattle, that would be a huge difference, because we've just cut your connection by half, and that's just optimizing off of the optimization that Fortnite is already trying to do by having you connect only to West Coast servers. Whew, I know it's a long explanation. But.
I mean, that's the thing about our products, which, myself and Ben, we are in marketing, and it's challenging to advertise in a lot of ways because it's a complex topic. I mean, home networking it's not as easy as buying a new iPhone. You buy a new iPhone, you take it out the box, you do the little setup, and it's done, right? Home networking is so much more complex, and there's so many more moving parts. So I think these kind of explanations are valuable to the viewers, and I hope you guys, everybody viewing, is gaining some knowledge. Hopefully, enjoying the stream. But we've got some more questions here, trying to keep up. Let's see.
Yeah. So long story short on that, can I set my pro to a certain ping? you could set your XR 500 and just and use the ping assist in order to connect us to a certain ping level.
Cool.
You can't actually go in and set a particular ping, just set a certain level that you want to connect to.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yep.
Okay.
Some games are starting to pick up on that. You'll see in Call of Duty where it's like where it'll try to connect you to the lowest ping possible, and then it'll connect to like a little bit higher and a little bit higher, depending on where you are. I usually I'm either in the first tier or second tier. And it's because I've filtered out all the other stuff.
Okay, so let's move on
I think
here.
we're at CC.
We've got
CCDB.
we've got a question here. R7000 disconnects way too often. Any suggestions other than rebooting and updating? Something that we often suggest, which seems kind of like a cop-out response, is it might be overheating. You might want to move it to somewhere more open air. Not only is it going to be, have less physical barriers to connecting to your devices if it's more in the open air, but it'll cool better. Sometimes, as a safety feature, they'll force restart so it doesn't overheat. That could be a suggestion. Do you guys have any other possible suggestions?
Yeah, if he's already done the reboot and update, one other thing is if you've done an update, try doing a factory reset on it. It is a long shot on that because when you have random disconnects, it's probably not because of any extra garbage left in the firmware, but it certainly can't hurt to do that. Also, depending on when the disconnects are happening, if they're happening once every week or 2 weeks, the heat suggestion is really good. Is it happening more now that summer's come around? Or is it just random? It can happen at any time. And if the R7000 is out in the open and this is happening, then you have to start wondering whether your R7000 is starting to fail. And depending on how long you've had it, since the R7000 has been out for 6 years at least, it is possible that it could be failing. It all just depends on the symptoms.
Yeah, and if it's wireless disconnects, you can always try to adjust your wireless channels on the router. If you download the Nighthawk app, inside the app we have a tool that lets you see the bands and how crowded they are. You might be on a really crowded band in your area, either from appliances or other neighbors using Wi-Fi networks. So you might just need to adjust your Wi-Fi channel to an open network that has very little connections.
Yeah, and also check to see if these disconnects are just happening on your 2.4 or it's happening on both the 2.4 and 5. If it is the 2.4, then along with Darren's comments, there are a lot of devices in the house that use 2.4 that put out a lot of random noise. And microwave ovens are a good example of that. They can definitely have an effect on your 2.4, causing disconnects while they're powered on or actually being used. So yeah, try to narrow down a little bit more exactly when the disconnects are happening. And make sure it isn't in a cabinet somewhere, because overheating can happen to any electronic device.
Yeah, and environmental factors like you'd be surprised. Microwaves, aquariums, all have effect on radio wave signals, and Wi-Fi kind of works off of that. So dependent on what is happening at the time that you have a disconnect, you can kind of see where if there's some environmental factors that are also happening. And if we haven't gotten to your question yet, stay tuned. This is 2 hours, so we are kind of working our way through. I know 3 people are like upset. Probably, I don't know if it's due to. I don't know what that's due to, but hopefully it's not due to. We don't have a bias against the Ps4, as some people may think.
All right,
it's just that I really wish,
keep going.
wish their network card was better.
Yeah.
God, so many people have so many problems with their networking on the Ps4.
All right, so let's go on to the next question here because we're falling behind. Let's talk to Gabriel here, who Said, can I use a power line to move my Netgear R7900 router to a different location? Yes, you can. I wouldn't advise using power line between the modem and the router. That's a pretty important connection. So I would not use power line. When I was setting up my network in my new home, I tried that, and it does work, but I was getting my plan is 200 megabytes per second, and I was getting about 150 megabytes per second versus when I plugged directly into the modem, I was getting 220. So I wouldn't do that. You could, though, if it's really crucial.
Yeah, and a couple of things if you want to. If you actually want to do that is, one, get the highest end power line, because they're designed to be able to work on poorer wiring in the homes and work around those, so they're less affected by having poor wiring in the home. And also, if you connect it in and you end up seeing a drastic drop between the speeds from your modem to your router, then that means that you're on two different circuits in the house, and then power line's a bad way of actually trying to extend it, because power line doesn't work well across circuits.
Okay, so let's see here. I'm trying to follow along here.
I think we missed Dan's question. What's the difference between the RAX50 and the RAX50S?
The RX.
That's an easy answer.
Yeah, go ahead, Michael. That one is easy.
The RAX50S is a Best Buy exclusive SKU.
I believe it comes with armor, I think.
Yes.
Yes, and I think it's actually no longer.
The routers themselves are the same.
Yeah, it's no longer a Best Buy exclusive. I think we did do that on our site a couple weeks back. But yeah, it just has armor on it for, I think, 3 months. Okay, let's see here. I want multiple switch. Okay, hang on. It looks like there's a conversation between Ali and our team here. Yeah, I just want to kind of follow up on what they're talking about in the chat right now. We do have a lot of products, and we do have a lot of products that we're trying to fix. Obviously, when we put out a product, there can be unseen issues, and with as many products as we have, we can't address every product immediately. So, I understand it's been 3 months and there's been issues with your product ongoing. It's just a factor of how many people we have working, how many products we have out. We can't just immediately fix everything. So hopefully within the next week is soon enough for you to be using your router again as you would, but apologies for the delay on that. So let's address this question from Sumya, who wants multiple switch so that I can interconnect using very fast connection. Similar performance to that of the internal fabric in switches, so that there's too much blocking. I think this is a follow-up on the question about the rack-mounted switches.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, and you're never gonna get the same sort of switching speed as you have directly inside the router, because all of that is normally inside a single routing chip. So that's about the shortest path possible. So like the 4 ports on the back of your router, that all is going through the exact same chip. Well, if you're going through a rack of switches, you're actually physically going from one routing chip, jumping down to another, and so on. And that goes back to my comments earlier that if you're going to be rack mounting it, you want to make sure that you have 10 gig uplink ports, and that will give you the fastest speed connection currently at a reasonable price. We do actually have some rack mounts that do 100 gig, but your price target shoots through the roof if you're trying to have 100 gig ports.
Cool. All right, let's hit the next question here. I was scrolling around and I lost my spot. Let's see. Okay, I found it. I wanted to make a comment. I see that Neil and I don't know how to say this, Gyir Girith. I see you guys are talking about Brawlhalla. Fun story. Myself and Angelo, who you see on the stream every other week, we went to PAX East and we actually met the lead developer for Brawlhalla. So shout out Brawlhalla, great game, great team that worked on it. They're really, really nice. And I'm glad you guys are making friends in the chat. That's awesome. Cheers to you guys. All right, let's see. We have a question from Straight Reject. I have a RX 300 and I can't I'm assuming you mean XR300. And I can't get a good signal on my PS4 Pro. Always got the PS4 Pro questions. Speed test on the app is 191 down and 37 up. That's a really good upload speed, by the way.
Yeah.
Speed test on my PS4 Pro is 19.3 down and 1.6 up. I'm in the same room, wired and wireless. I use wired and have bought a high-end cable. Is there something I can do? I'm new to using your equipment. What would you guys suggest? I'm not.
Well, there's
I'm not the
definitely
PS4 guy.
something going on here. Yeah, I don't think specifically on the PS4, there's definitely something going on here because he's saying he's having the exact same issue wired and wireless.
Yeah.
And if he's having it on the wired side as well, then the PS4 Ethernet card can easily handle, those speeds. So there should be no reason why it would be being pulled down that much.
But
Do you have any ideas with that?
Yeah, my question is, what generation of PS4 Pro is this a PS4 Pro or is this? I think it is, if I remember. Let's see.
Yeah, he said PS4 Pro.
And what generation of PS4 Pro it is? As in this current console generation, we have found, because what we do is networking. What we found is that the PS4 has some issues with its networking, and that is more apparent when you connect it wireless than wired. Even wired, you're getting 19 down and 6 up. That's terrible. I'm with you on this. You got RX XR300. What are your settings? Have you used the QoS to prioritize your PS4? Have you done that through the Geofilter, geofencing, and the QoS? I would also, what is your congestion filter setup, or anti-buffer bloat, as it was also known as? What's that set? You don't need to set it, too high, but I'm just curious as to what those settings are. You should be able to prioritize that thing and at least wired get something pretty close. So, yeah, if you could follow up with me on that. Let's see, new PS4. The Ps4 test is thanks Dodo Bird. It is it's not very accurate. And
also, just to make sure that we're not missing something on here, make sure to actually test with a PC on a wired connection to the same spot that you would be connecting your PS4.
Yeah.
Because it might not be a PS4 issue. So you want to make sure to eliminate the possibility that it's actually something outside the PS4.
Yeah. Also, thanks, Toby. Like, the Switch is also notorious as well. And also, part of the issue might be that it's connecting to 2.4. Could that be the issue as well, Michael?
Yeah, if we're talking about wireless, you would definitely see, a drastic drop getting down to 2.4. I wouldn't expect it quite that much if he's in the same room, but it is possible. Is
it possible to turn off like Smart Connect and split your signal into the 5 and the 2.4 and force the PS Pro onto the 5?
Yeah, the PS Pro should support 5 gigahertz. So yes, that would be the good thing to try as well if it turns out that it's Wi-Fi issue and the wired. That's another question as to what's going on. Yeah,
the wired is what throws me right now, which makes me think that there's something up with that networking card.
Well, what sticks out to me is if he's getting the same speed wired and wireless, that could be some program or a setting in the router limiting the PlayStation's bandwidth. If they can both only hit that same point, it might be already being limited by something on your network.
Yeah, and it's XR300, so I would just double check all of your prioritizations. Just make sure that PS4 is on top of the pile.
All right, cool. Let's keep it going here. Got some more questions. Got one from Marlon, who has a Nighthawk Wi-Fi 6. Setup has been working great, but every now and then his PC will drop off. He's wondering if he should turn off the Fios Wi-Fi. Yes, you should. If you do have a NETGEAR router, you shouldn't be broadcasting another signal. There's going to be issues with two signals broadcasting so close to each other. They're going to clash, especially near the units. They're really going to clash if you're right next to them. But it's just, in general, not best practice to have two routers running right next to each other. So I would definitely put your Fios bridge into bridge mode and use it as just a modem. I think that should answer that question.
Yep, that hits it.
Cool. So next question is from Neil. Is Cat 6 better than Cat 5e for home? And then he complimented us, which I really appreciate. Thank you, Neil. I mean, like,
the answer is sort of yes and no. Most of the time, you're going to get the same speeds from Cat 5e that you're getting from Cat 6. Because you're not maxing out the maximum speed on Cat 5e right now with most hardware. And in fact, in my own home, I was testing on 10 gig ports from my PC through that wonderful 10 gig gaming switch that we were talking about earlier over to a 10 gig connection on my ReadyNAS. And I had the Cat 5e cables in there, ran a file transfer test, then I swapped everything out to Cat 6 and got exactly the same speeds. So in most cases right now, you're not going to see that much of a speed difference. The Cat 6, though, normally is a better quality cable. So if you buy that, you're probably getting a better quality cable than your Cat 5e cables. But as far as speed, you're probably not going to see a difference right now with the speed that we're pushing through those cables.
Cool. Yeah, I mean, you're really not going to bottleneck yourself with a Cat 5e cable. Like, it's rated for high enough data transfer, so you should be fine either way.
Yep.
Okay, Dodo Bird asked if we talked about DoomOS 3, and we have not yet. There is a stream in the VODs if you want to go back and look at the DoomOS 3 stream. You can watch that whole stream if you'd like. It was myself, Ben, and Luke Barlow from DoomOS, from NetDuma, the team that makes DoomOS, and we talk all about the new software, which is really exciting. But if you have a specific question that you want us to answer, feel free to ask. Cool. Oh, I see that we already replied in the chat. Oops. Question from Spanish Boy John. Is the XR300 a good gaming router to start off with? Yeah, I would say so. I mean, it's got DoomOS, which is kind of the most important thing about the gaming routers, and it's at a pretty good price. And if you sign up for emails, you get 10% off. So, a little bonus there. Anything you want to add to that, Ben?
No. I think you covered it.
Yep, and it's good solid hardware. It's hardware that we use in some of our other routers as well, so it's very well tested.
Mm-hmm. It's a very stable platform.
Yep.
Cool. Let's see. Okay, let's see. We have a question.
How do I get my goldfish from the grave?
I don't think you can.
No, the answer is go with mechanical goldfish. They're much easier to fix.
It's a little robot. Okay, let's see here. We're back to Sumya, who asks a general question here. What actually happens if the room temperature is for some reason more than the operating temperature of a device, such as a router, switch, or access point? Well, the first thing that's going to happen is the temperature of that router, switch, or AP is going to end up being at least room temperature. Because there's nothing in it which is going to cool it cooler than what the room temperature is. And because it'll be pushed up to the room temperature and it creates its own heat,
it's going to get even hotter than whatever the room temperature is. And most of the time, the temperatures on the chips are already much higher than would be acceptable in normal room temperature for someone to actually be in. Anyone else want to toss some info in?
I think that's pretty accurate.
It's pretty accurate.
Yeah, but I really don't ever think your room temperature will be hotter than your router. You would not want to be in that room. So don't worry about it. Question from Toby again. Well, more of a comment. The Nintendo Switch already has crappy speed test. I am subbed to. Oh, I'm subscribed for his ISP to 300 down at 30 up. But the highest I get is 80 down and 21 up. Prioritized, I get 120 on a good day. Yeah, I mean, the Switches aren't really built to be like competitive online gaming devices. The only like competitive Nintendo games are really just going to be, like Smash Bros. And Mario Kart. So they're really not.
Yep.
They're not really equipped to be like high internet speed devices. I think that's also evident by the fact that they don't have an Ethernet port, and the only way you can get one is via USB 3, like an adapter, which isn't going to be the fastest. I mean, it's probably better than wireless, but yeah, I don't really have much more to say about the Switch. It's kind of just like for fun. All right, question from Tommy. Did I miss any? No, I did not. Tommy, how many satellites can you have on an Orbi Wi-Fi 6? What would you say to that, Michael?
We normally recommend 3 to a maximum of 4, and that's normally what our engineers have tested with. The Orbi Pro, surprisingly enough, they've actually tested with up to 7 satellites. But that's a unique business case with those satellites. But normally 3 to 4 max is what we recommend.
Cool. Yeah. Same goes for our regular extenders and our other mesh systems. Really don't want to be going too far over that. I mean, theoretically you could put as many as you want, but
yeah.
You're really cutting the pie a little.
Things are definitely going to start slowing down.
Yeah, totally. Okay.
Yeah. Also, one thing to remember is no matter how many satellites you're connecting, you want to make sure that you have no more than 2 hops away from your main router if you're daisy chaining them. So if you have an Orbi system with 3 satellites, you don't want to have the satellites in a direct straight line where the farthest satellite is having to go 2 hops through 2 satellites before it actually gets back to the router. Once you get beyond about 2 satellites out from the router, you're really going to start seeing some degradation on your speeds because it's taking longer and longer to hop through the long chain back to the router.
Exactly. Yeah. Makes the most sense to have them connected directly to the router. And if you can do a wired backhaul, it's pretty solid.
Yes. Yeah, but you can daisy chain them. So if you need to jump out 2 from there because you've got, say, a very long shotgun type house, you can actually do that, and they work well.
Cool. Okay, well, we did catch up. Took us a while. We've been going for 51 minutes straight, answering questions. Thank you guys for the questions. We really appreciate them, and feel free to keep them coming. We're here for a little more than another hour. We're about at the halfway mark. But a reminder to all you guys that are enjoying the stream, please drop a like. It really helps us with visibility and helps us bring in more fans and some new people and some new faces. So like the video if you don't mind, if you're enjoying it. And my spiel invited in 2 more questions. So let's answer those questions.
I think you skipped one there. Christine accidentally deleted one and posted it again under the NETGEAR.
Oh, okay.
The one from Brendan?
Oh,
yeah.
My bad. Well, Brendan, sorry about that. Thank you for coming back, Brendan. He's one of our regular viewers. And he mentioned, I noticed that my X6 R8000, that the second 5 gigahertz signal is way stronger than the first one. Is there a difference in power output ratio for those transmitters between what I assume is the 2.4 and the 5 gigahertz signal? Answer is yes. And I'm sure.
No, he's actually talking about the second 5 gigahertz.
Oh, that one has
that
2.
Should be,
that's right.
A tri-band.
That's tri-band.
And so he's talking about the first 5 gigahertz versus the second. There shouldn't actually be a different power output between the two of them, but the router does actually have output controls, so it'll actually adjust the amount of output that's coming out of the antenna depending on what is needed when it's talking to a client. So that power output ratio is going to vary constantly depending on which clients it's talking to, but there isn't any difference in the maximum power output from either one of the 5 gigahertz channels.
Got it. Cool. Thank you for clarifying. I thought he was talking about like 5 versus 2.4. So good catch.
Yep.
This is why we bring more than one person in. I'd be misguiding all you guys.
Yes.
All right. Let's see here. So, question from Gabriel. Do you guys recommend auto for the 2.4 gigahertz if you live in an area that is very crowded or does not put it on manually? Also, does DBM have anything to do with gaming, such as on a PS4? I would not recommend auto. If you're gonna tinker with your bands, just do a 5 gigahertz and a 2.4, and then you can just manually pick which you want for which product.
Right, but I think he's asking about should the 2.4 be left on auto or not if he lives in a crowded area, and the answer to that is normally no, because if it's on auto, it can easily jump to a channel that actually has a lot of overlapping frequencies from the surrounding channels.
Got it.
And so you want to minimize it as much as possible. The first thing you can do is you can try moving it to channels 1, 6, or 11. Those 3 channels are the ones that have the least amount of overlap to the channels around them. Also, if it's really crowded, you can download some Wi-Fi analyzer apps for your phone, and then you can actually look at all of the channels and see how many connections are on each of the channels, and then you can go and pick whichever one seems to have the least amount of connections on it. And that's about the best you can do to optimize the 2.4 if there's a lot of noise around you, if there's a lot of other Wi-Fi signals from other people.
Yep, and
as far as the deep, go on.
Oh, sorry. As I said, we do have a Wi-Fi analyzer built into our Nighthawk app, so you can control your router and use that analyzer within the Nighthawk app.
Yeah, and it's a great way to figure out which channels have the least amount of people on them, so that you can pick which one is the best. It doesn't mean it's guaranteed that it's always going to have that few connections, but on an instant basis where you go in and look, that is the best way to figure it out.
Cool. Awesome. Well, hopefully that helps out. Gabriel, let us know if you have any more questions. We'll be here. So next question. Well, we have a comment from Dodo Bird, who has the XR300 and says he loves it. He says that his videos are buffering less and he's going to run Cat 8 to his PS4. There you go. Good stuff. Okay. We're on to Sumya again, who has another question. I hate saying this. Is MIMO?
MU-MIMO. MU-MIMO is how it's pronounced.
MIMO, okay.
Yep.
I'm thinking Nemo.
Right.
All right. Is MU-MIMO a Wi-Fi 5 only thing, or is it also in Wi-Fi 6? Is it basically backwards compatible?
And the answer is yes. It's also in Wi-Fi 6. It's pretty much just become a standard now. Multiple in, multiple out on the routers. Basically, meaning they can talk to multiple devices at the same time. And it's built into pretty much all the routers now, and they don't advertise it anymore because it's so common. And there's other enhancements that are better marketing named than something that's been around for a dozen years.
There you go. Cool stuff. We have a goodbye from Neil. Take care, Neil.
Oh, I was going to say Brendan's comment about beamforming. That's exactly what I was talking about on being able to adjust the power levels on the channels as it's talking to the clients. Is what beamforming does is it actually bumps up the power when it needs to hit clients that are farther away. It lowers the power when it hits clients that are closer.
Cool. Okay, cool. Let's see. Question from Girth again. I don't think I missed anybody, but yeah, question from Girth. Will the Netgear XR500 help with my internet? I live next to a school and I don't have Virgin in my area. Will it help? Theoretically, yes. I mean, assuming you have older hardware, it should help. I mean, I think that in any case where you're gonna take old hardware and upgrade it to new hardware, as a general rule, unless you're going from like the craziest router 2 years ago to the lamest router that we just released or something, in almost any case, you're gonna get an improvement. So I'd say yes, it should improve your internet. Plus, you'll get all those capabilities from DualOS that Ben has mentioned previously.
Yep.
And if you want to know what those are, check out the DoomOS 3 stream because that's coming out pretty soon. So,
yeah, we'll probably be doing it. I think it's scheduled for next week, but it's really based off of availability. So if it doesn't happen next week, we'll reschedule as quickly as we can.
mm-hmm. That was a really popular. That was actually our most viewed stream. People were really excited to see the new features, and we're really excited to bring it to you because it's been something that is highly anticipated. We always get questions about it, and it's becoming a real thing. So exciting stuff. Exciting time to be a Nighthawk Pro Gaming owner.
Yeah, the beta test is going. If anybody, just to talk about that real quick, the beta test is going. It's a closed beta. We are adding people as we go. If you haven't been added, be patient. This is going to be running for a couple of cycles. We're going to be starting on the next version of the firmware next week and opening it up to some more people. But we really wanted to keep this under a controlled rate. But we're looking at some really great feedback from you guys, so thank you so much.
Yeah, we're definitely doing it kind of in a stepwise way. They're keeping, my understanding, correct me if I'm wrong, Ben, is they're keeping a very close eye on the feedback and how the beta testers are using the app. We're getting some great data.
We're getting some great data on that, and also just getting some great feedback on how to improve or how you guys are using the product. So just little things like previously the anti-buffer bloat, which is now called congestion monitor. It had a percentage, and that percentage was not entirely clear because the percentage that you reserved was in reverse. So if you wanted to reserve 30% of your bandwidth, you actually had to reserve 70% on that because and so that's cleared up. There's just some really great things. The Geofilter is fencing instead of the Geofilter, so you can now draw a polygon for your geofencing is fantastic. So there's some great stuff.
Okay, cool. Shady Joker. Is Netgear beefing up or modifying the pro gaming routers for the next gen consoles? We've got a great engineering team, and we'll leave it at that.
And we're always coming out with new products, and faster and stronger and better. And the Duma 3.0 was a good example of even what we're doing with our current ones that are going to be helping out the next gen consoles, simply because, like with the Geofilter that Ben mentioned, being able to create polygons so you can optimize where you want to actually be connected to a lot more. So we're doing stuff with the current ones, and we'll come out with better in the future.
Yes, and that like when we say polygons, we mean you can have up to 42 sides. So you could really make it really as complicated as you like.
You mean kind of like election maps?
Yeah, you can gerrymander all of your servers.
You can gerrymander your gaming.
There you go.
Yeah. What I really love about Doom OS is like, I think in so many ways it's to bring challenging home networking features to a more casual user, like QoS. And technically, if you want to go in and use your crazy computer science knowledge, you could do it on any router, but it really just brings it to a more usable state. But it also gives you this awesome control if you're like a power user and you really want to dig in and like go crazy. You can do that. So
Yeah, I have always said that it takes the alchemy out of networking, because a lot of times you go looking in your router for the settings, and everything is sort of numbers. Put in this range between here and here, and unless you are some sort of networking guru or Michael,
Thank you.
you are left going, how do I do this? And so it really like has taken the that difficulty curve, and where you're like, I just wanted to do X, and there is a setting that you can use a slide bar or put in a percentage, and it will do X for you, instead of you kind of trying to figure out what ports do I have to have open, where and all that other stuff. So that's what's awesome about it. It really puts that control in your hands without having to have some advanced networking knowledge. It also makes it
it makes it a lot more understandable, just the way that we show we envision things in the Doom OS. It's a lot easier for people that don't know a lot of networking to use it without really caring what's going on in the background.
Yeah, and like I said, it makes you really dangerous, because you can really kind of get that dialed in, and you're going to find that like you're going to see up to 84% in the current generation of Doom OS. You're going to see an 84% difference in your latency, and that is a huge difference. That's like that. I see it all the time when I turn a corner, I run into somebody that's on the other team, and it's gone. Boom. I've got them before they've got me.
Cool. All right. So we have a question that I really am excited to answer from Robin, who says he's learning about the Orbi Wi-Fi 6. He currently has a standard modem and an Apple router behind it and an extender, but he's losing signal a lot. Can the RBK852 take over my current configuration? So there's a lot to say about this, in my opinion, because it's one of my flagship products. I love the RBK850 series. I think it's a really, really solid product. So you have an Apple router, and since you've purchased that Apple router, they have backed out of the home networking game, and they carry Orbeez. So, I think that should indicate to you the quality of Orbi as a product line, and it basically has an Apple endorsement. And I personally, I really think it's because NETGEAR doesn't farm data, and Apple's all about privacy. So if you align with your tech values with Apple, I think Orbi is a great line to go with, and I think that's evident in the fact that they carry Orbi. As far as functionality, if you have a router and an extender with a standard modem, the RBK852 is going to replace the router and extender, but it is not there's no modem included in that kit. So if you want to upgrade your modem, that's going to be a separate purchase.
Which is actually a follow-up to that. Is Toby Kills actually is like actually was asking about modems for improvement as well, so we can kind of segue right into that if you want.
Yeah, totally. I think that now, and we do have an event coming up. I think it actually happened yesterday, about DOCSIS 3.1 and the future of Wi-Fi. That's the new protocol for modems, And if you're going to buy a modem, a new modem in 2020, you should be getting a DOCSIS 3.1 modem. And if it's a NETGEAR modem, that's going to be the CM1000 or higher spec.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the CM1000, CM1100, CM1200. Any one of those, and those are CM cable modem. Most people have cable for their connections. You just gonna see like a vast improvement over previous generation in modems, and it's a great question, Toby, because the router is like, I think of like the router is sort of the brains of the operation, and I feel like the modem is like sort of the brawn. Is that kind of a good analogy, Michael? Where the modem is it's the engine, it's what's pushing the internet in and out, and the router is really kind of the brains behind it, going, okay, we need to ship this. Okay, this could wait. Let's ship this. Okay, this is coming in. This got to go over there. But having a great modem makes a huge difference. And in fact, you're going to see a difference. Not only, one, you're not going to be paying for the modem rental, which is always outrageous. Two, you're going to get the latest performance product, as opposed to usually a product that your ISP has that's like at least 5 years old. And you're also, to be honest, you're probably going to see a little bit of improvement where you're getting a little bit more speed than what you're actually paying for.
Yep, and you just want to make sure that the modem that you're getting doesn't end up being your bottleneck between you and the outside world. Nothing worse than having a reverse funnel where the big end is in your home network, and then you have a small end, which is actually your modem, because you have to go through that out to the internet. So with the DOCSIS 3.1 modems, they help open that up a lot. So you're going to get the maximum throughput that you need, depending on whatever your plan is with your ISP.
Totally. And to kind of circle this back to Robin's question, the RBK852, it's a big investment. It's our top product of all of our lines. It's an expensive kit. We can't kid ourselves here. It's expensive. If you're going to get something like that and plug it in to just an okay modem, you're still going to get a big improvement. No beating around the bush there. You're replacing old hardware with new hardware. But whether you do it when you purchase the Orbi or you do it soon down the road, I would highly suggest replacing your modem too. Otherwise, you're not going to be getting that full performance. And then to just kind of give a personal testimony to getting more than what you pay for from your ISP, I get 220 in my new home, and I pay for 200. So, go DOCSIS 3.1. Good stuff.
Yep, and the same here. I pay for 150 and I get 175.
I had about the same situation at my old apartment. I was getting 150, paying for 150, and got about 175, 180. Good stuff. We have a question about something.
To finish off,
go ahead.
I was going to say, to finish off Toby Kill's question about with the modem's signal to noise ratio and power levels. That's really up to the ISPs, to the signal strength that's being sent down to you. But if you're wondering about what is good signal to noise ratio or good power levels, you can actually go out and Google it, and you'll find that there is a signal to noise ratio that should be about 23.5 dB or greater. And on the power levels, you're looking at a good downstream power level between -7 and +7 dB millivolts, and on the upstream, about 38 to 48 dB millivolts. So that gives you some general idea that those are really based on what the ISP is actually sending down, how strong the signal is. And usually if you're having problems with your connection to your ISP, they'll go and they'll look on their end to see what sort of power levels are actually being sent down to you and what they're seeing back.
That's pretty cool. I didn't even know that.
Yep.
Classic Michael, telling us stuff we don't know. All right. Fun question from Sumia here. What is the mural? So I'm gonna see if I can actually come here and turn off my virtual background real quick. Because I have a mural here. Let me just, sorry for messing up the stream.
Yeah.
So
And while you're doing that,
there's my mural. Wait.
The quick and easy answer is digital art canvas.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there you go. Perfect. On your wall.
So there's my mural. Here's my mask. But yeah, it's a digital art canvas, and so I'm trying to point like backwards here. So down here, on a regular photo frame, it's called the mat. It's like the white part that kind of borders the image. You can actually swipe your hand in front of it and control the image on the mural. I can't reach it right now. I don't want to walk over there. But yeah, you can swipe through different images. The mural app allows you to also control the mural. And if you subscribe to the mural art curation service, you'll be given access to $3 billion worth of art to display on your mural, which is an incredible amount of art to be able to show on one frame. And I think your question.
Yeah, and farther down, Sumia commented saying, so it's like a real painted picture. And you've got it exactly right. It was originally designed by a person that was heavily into art.
Mm-hmm.
And he wanted to be able to have some way of digitally showing art and make it look like the actual original art piece. So Mural has been designed from top to bottom to be able to display art and photographs as close to the original as possible. So it's something that makes you proud to have hanging on your wall.
Totally, yeah, and I think that's accomplished because it's, Michael, you might have more knowledge on this than me, but it's not backlit, right?
Yes, it is. Well, it somewhat is. That helps with dark levels and so on. But basically, it's the highest quality screens that you can have. So it has the best color references. And then we've tweaked with the code so that they get the color values and the light values up to match up as close as possible. And it does have a light sensor in it so that it can control the backlighting, so that you can set it to whatever you think looks best for the image that you have for the room lighting. And then it auto detects the room lighting as the lighting goes up or down and adjusts the backlighting so that the image will still stay looking the same no matter what light level is in the room. So it's pretty cool technology.
Yeah, the hardest thing you get across, especially in sort of still images of it, is how actually vivid it actually is in person. It really is a scene. It's a seeing is believing kind of thing with it. The first time I saw it, I was really floored because it's so much better than, you'll see those little desktop things for displaying photos, and it's so much more incredible than that because you can literally see some of the brush strokes in paintings, and that is what really kind of blew me away from on it. So it's an incredible piece of technology.
Yeah,
that's actually one of the things that I love showing off at the trade shows when I'm showing off a mural, is show some of the old art masters pieces like Picasso, where there's a lot of thick paint brushes on the canvas. And with Mural, it looks like it's almost in 3D, where you can actually see the textures in the canvas on the screen.
Yep.
Yeah, I think it's a really exciting product. When I moved here and my new housemates saw it, they were really impressed with just the quality of the. I mean, it's not even like it's not even that high. I mean, it's a regular HD screen, but the quality of the way the display is tweaked to display art is really something special. And if you get a chance to go into a beta store, they have them there for display. That's B8TA. They're expanding a lot, so there might be one in your area. You could go check it out if it is safe to do so, and if you are wearing a mask.
Yes.
I don't want to encourage people to go outside. Okay, so coming back to some of the questions here. Sumia has another question. On the modem, he says he uses a third-party modem, which isn't that great. But the type of modem is EPON ONT/ONU. I have no idea what that is. Does Netgear have any offering there?
I haven't heard of that particular modem, but it sounds like a specific manufacturer.
Yeah.
And
we can
it
check the internet.
It's not in the U.S.
Yeah. No, it's so it's an optical network unit that transforms incoming fiber optics as a passive component to regular for telecommunication over optical fiber network.
And the answer is no, we do not have fiber modems at this point in time.
And to expand upon that, mainly because currently ISPs, especially here in North America, are very keeping that sort of modem close to the vest, and so yeah, we just don't have an offering for the fiber at the moment. But all of our routers do work with fiber.
Okay, cool. Let's see. Question from Brendan. Who actually develops the Wi-Fi standards like A, C, G, and N? Is it a shared collaboration between different networking companies?
This is a Michael question.
And the answer is yes, it is. Yes, it is. There's the Wi-Fi Alliance that actually there's multiple groups that get together to make their own standards.
It's like the Avengers.
But in general, there's the Wi-Fi Alliance that exactly. You've got the Avengers and then you've got the X-Men. But in general, the Wi-Fi Alliance is the organization that sets the standards, and they work with other groups, and it normally takes them many years to nail down a particular standard. And until it's actually fully ratified and signed off, you usually will end up with like pre-G or pre-N or pre-AX devices that are supposed to be compatible with that new standard. But there's no guarantee until the standard's completely ratified that those devices are 100% compatible. So I've seen when N came out and when AC came out that there were some pre-N, pre-AC devices that didn't work 100% with the standards until they'd been completely signed off. But yeah, there is definitely a Wi-Fi Alliance that comes up with that. It's similar to the IEEE that comes up with the standards. In fact, there we go. Sumia said IEEE does it.
Yeah. And with that, like sometimes the technology outpaces the ratification. For example, AD. You know, AX came super fast on the heels of AD, and AD ended up being an evolutionary, you know, dead end.
Cro-Magnon.
Yes. And that's where, you know, AX is, you know, kind of, you know, surpassed it. It's really, you know, it's pretty amazing how, you know, so it takes a little bit of time, and there's already work on the standards. So I think as these are developed, is it Moore's law that like is that speeds these things up? Am I thinking of the right thing?
No, Moore's law, that's correct. And that used to be talked about a lot for CPUs. Basically, every couple of years, the speed would double. That slowed down over the last probably 5 or 6 years. But for a while there, that was exactly what was happening is, you know, every year to 2 years, speeds would double every time.
But in networking, speeds are definitely increasing. I mean.
Oh, absolutely.
Like just
we're
a few
running
years
out
ago.
of Wi-Fi space.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. And I have to say, if you're still pumping out Wi-Fi N out there, that's one, that's incredible, and two, you probably have what a Motorola surfboard from Comcast,
right?
And three, it might be time to look at upgrading your network because are going to find some super fast, almost to the point. AX compared to N and G the technology is so incredibly faster. You almost think it would be magic.
It was a really big jump in performance.
Yep.
Yeah.
Especially, and I think it was made very conscious of, the tech world in general, where we have all of these IoT devices, because such a big aspect of Wi-Fi 6 is capacity, right? And so all these IoT devices, Google Home, Apple HomeKit, all these kind of things need to be Wi-Fi connected. Capacity was a problem, and that was where the innovation was focused. So
yeah, and there's and as the world becomes more and more and more Internet of Things, like everything uses the internet now. So you're going to see that need for bandwidth capacity in a width broad sense become more and more important as there are more devices in your house that are all kind of using the internet. They all have to be prioritized somehow, and that's going to require bigger brained routers with better protocols.
Yep.
Cool. All right. We have a follow-up question from Sumya. Really looking forward to this mural thing. I'm a hobbyist photographer. Can I put my edited images on it, or does it need a special format? Well, Sumya, you don't need to look forward to it because it already exists. We sell it on our website. So you are welcome to check it out. The product page there will explain all the features and everything you can do on it if you want more information aside from what we can tell you. But I'm also a photographer, studied photography, and yeah, you can put your images right on it. I think I've used primarily, I typically render in PNG, and I think I used PNG and it was fine. You can also put GIFs and JPEG on it, I believe. But yeah, it's really easy. I would suggest for if you're gonna like render out your photos on like Lightroom or Photoshop on your computer, I would suggest using the web portal. It's really easy to drag and drop your images onto your mural. The mural is Wi-Fi enabled, so it'll automatically load to the mural, and then you can go and change what it's showing via the web app. That's going to be my.mural.com.
Yep. And also for a little bit of spec info on your images, currently the mural will support up to 4K images. The mural itself is only 1080p, but the initial images that you can upload can be up to 4K, and then it'll sample down, keeping as much information as possible to get it down to 1080p.
Cool. Yeah, it's really cool. You should go check it out if you can find one.
Yep.
You can't see the quality of the screen over video. You really got to go see it. It's really impressive.
You really need to see it in person. It is as soon as you see it, you like I said, seeing is really believing with it. The product is amazing.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Let's see. This person, Places and Spaces, says, I use the Orbi Wi-Fi 6 with my MOCA hardwire setup and get around 900 megabytes per second.
Mocha.
Mocha? Like from Starbucks?
Mocha. Just like from Starbucks. You can go to Starbucks to get all your hardware.
This isn't even a question. This person's just saying, go Netgear.
It's just a great statement.
Thank you.
And yeah, if you've got coax cable running through your house, and then you can buy Mocha, and that's similar to what Powerline does. But with the Mocha, it works even better because these are just dedicated, coax lines through the house. In most cases, it's a great solution, and as he mentions, getting 900 megabits in the other room. The only limitations on it are you don't want to run it through splitters.
Got it.
But beyond that, it's a great other alternative besides Powerline to get to another room when you're not using Wi-Fi.
Cool. Okay. Gabriel Lopez. So the EX7500 still has no support for the Nighthawk app. Do you know why and when it will be supported? I need to change my 2.4 gigahertz to a manual channel and found 11 was not crowded. Well, you can probably do that via the My Extender portal. on your web browser. I forgot the exact URL, but I think it's like myext.net or something like that.
Right, but he's been able to actually get in there already because he was able to find out that 11
He's
wasn't
just
crowded.
asking
He just wants
when
to
it's
know
gonna be
when
on the
the
app.
app's going to be available.
Oh,
Yep.
okay. I'm not sure.
That I'm not 100% sure. We could definitely make that suggestion. I know that they are always adding stuff to the app. So I know that we really want to have it as like a one-stop area where you can, support all of your Netgear products. So on those prioritizations, I'm not sure what those are, but we could certainly say that we're hearing people ask about the EX 7500 and certainly put in a word for it.
Mm-hmm. Totally. Okay, cool. Question from Sumya. How much is the average monthly cost in the US for 100 megabytes down and up? That's a hard question to answer. It really varies regionally. Here in California, I'd say probably on Comcast, I think it's for 100 down, I don't know, like maybe 35, $40 a month.
Yeah, something like that. But since I have all of mine bundled with the rest of, the additional packages, not exactly sure what the base cost is. And with 100 down and up, a lot of the packages we have in the US, they still do the old idea, which is you get a fast download speed, but your upload speed is much lower. Like mine's 75 down, but it's only 12 up. People who are going to fiber here often get plans offered to them that are the same down and upload speeds. Mm-hmm. But in general, we get far less upload than download.
Yeah, and just to kind of give personal testimony to how much it varies, I moved about not even a month ago. I lived, 5-6 miles away from here, and my plan that I had was like 45 a month, and I got 150 down. Well, since I moved, I'm on the same plan, but now I get 200 down. It's great for me. Yeah. It's just it varies so much. But yeah, that's just here. I mean, when I lived in Arizona, you had to pay a lot more to get that high speeds. I mean, we're in the Silicon Valley, so there's good infrastructure here. Okay, cool question from Brendan here. Can I prioritize different devices on my Nighthawk without using QoS, i.e. prioritize Android phones and laptops over my smart plugs and smart speakers? Yes, there's kind of an interesting way to do that. You could split your bands into 5 gigahertz and 2.4 gigahertz and assign those smart devices to the 2.4 gigahertz band, because those don't really need that much internet. So you can kind of just give them
that much bandwidth.
Yeah, exactly. You can kind of just give them a trickle connection from those from the 2.4 gigahertz band, and then connect your user devices to the 5 gigahertz band, which is going to give you better speeds.
And a lot of the smart plugs and other smart devices, all they support is 5 or the 2.4 gigahertz. And part of that is because the 2.4 gigahertz goes a longer distance than the 5. And when you have devices like that, they tend to be spread all around the home. Mm-hmm. But yeah, your way of doing it, the exact textbook way of put the high priority devices on your 5 gigahertz and those lower priority devices on the 2.4.
There you go. And yeah, if you really, what I suggest doing a lot is when you do that, you're prioritizing bandwidth. And if you can take any devices off of the bandwidth and hardwire them, that's just going to remove that slice that's being taken from that device and re-give it back to everything else. So I would hardwire whatever you can in any case. I have my whole multimedia setup right here hardwired, and it really helps with wireless connection. I'm running the stream wirelessly. So and now I have 3 other people living in the house, and we're still hanging in there on the stream. So yeah. So with that said, we caught up again. We have 30 minutes left, a little less.
Excellent.
So if anybody has more questions, as always, drop them in the chat. We'll be here for another 30 minutes. And I'll do my regular reminder. If you're enjoying the stream, please drop a like, and it'll help us shoot up on YouTube and bring in some more fans, which we love. Gabriel, goodbye. Thanks for tuning in. Well, we don't have any. Oh, we lost a dislike. There we go.
We did. There we go.
Yay!
Yay!
Okay. Well, we did get another question, but I just want to mention we don't have any filler questions from Angelo today, so we'll have to come up with our own if we do run out of questions. But we have one from Marlon here. Marlon says, when I put the Fios router into bridge mode, will I have to reconfigure the NETGEAR mesh router? You shouldn't, unless it just does something weird. We don't make the Fios routers, so I can't say exactly what happens when you put it into bridge mode. It should just deactivate the router on the Fios unit. I don't know if it does something else weird, but
it basically just acts as a pass-through device, and you shouldn't have to do anything. I would recommend that once you've switched it over to bridge mode, power off and power your router back on again.
Good call.
But that should be all that you should have to do, unless, as mentioned, something really weird happens. But normally, no. Once you go into bridge mode, it literally acts like a bridge. It just acts like a pass-through device. So the internet will go straight down to your router, and then your router will get a new external IP address and should work fine, but you won't have the Wi-Fi signal coming off of your Fios modem.
Well, there you go. Cool. So, filler questions. What can we talk about? What's been going on? That's there's not a lot of fun stuff to talk about these days.
Yeah.
How many times have you guys used DoorDash in the past 3 months?
I haven't.
I'd have to say 0 because they don't come up where I live.
Oh no,
we don't get any of those services.
I have to also say 0 because like almost everything that I try to get delivered to my house, because the front building is 547 and I live in the back building, which is 549. Everybody from Amazon to the pizza guy always assumes that I'm in the first building because, one, I think laziness. And so it always gets delivered to the apartment in the front, and they are always, what the hell is this? I am lucky today that I got my basket full of veggies and whatnot that got delivered to the right house. Last time I had it delivered, it was missing 80% of the stuff. I'm not saying that the people in the front building took it out of my basket, but you can read between the lines.
Maybe
so as far as DoorDash, no, but I have been using where the couple of different features where you can pick up stuff from the restaurants.
Yep, totally.
Especially local restaurants that I really love going to. I really try to order at least once a month from them and pick it up, so that way I can at least feel like I'm kind of contributing to them still staying open.
Yeah, I had the same issue as you, Ben. The main building mailing address is different than my building's mailing address, and if the pizza guy tries to put in the mailing address for my apartment, he goes way off into the country. It just takes him on a wild goose chase. My address doesn't show up on Google Maps apparently, but the building next to me does.
Gotcha. Yeah, I've always wondered, what about those big? So I'm from Phoenix, Arizona, and country club complexes are really common, up in Scottsdale. If you're trying to DoorDash something, and it's a gated community with 500 homes, what do you do? I mean, if I'm gonna go visit a friend, I get
throw
lost.
It over the wall and leave.
Yeah, whenever I go visit a friend, I get lost, and I'm just like, how do you guys DoorDash stuff? This is a luxury complex, but you can even DoorDash things. Is it really a luxury complex? All right, it looks like Angela's. Well, we got a couple comments, not so much questions. Trina says that she loves this and that we are informative. Thank you, Trina. We
Thanks,
appreciate
Trina.
it.
Hi, Trina.
She's one of our
And
own.
she's one of our own.
Yep.
But and then Angelo has a question. So
Yeah, we do have a question. But Sumya says, Alec, you forgot to put your background back on. I didn't want to do
that
I
is
didn't
true.
want to do the pop up and block everybody. So before we get into Angelo's question, we did get a follow up on a question from Robin, who says, "Hi guys, quick question again. When I still want to go for the RBK 852 and install it in bridge mode, which is unfortunate. I have read somewhere that the configuration of my Apple router could be taken over. So it sounds like what you are suggesting is that there's kind of almost like there's a word for it. I can't remember, but it sounds like what you want to suggest is that you use the exact same configuration on your Orbi as you have on your Apple router. And what I would say is I've had success with this, but I don't know. I feel like Michael's going to have a more technical understanding of this. Whenever I've set a router to the same name and password, it still won't even transfer all the devices, unfortunately. You still have to log in again.
Right. Yeah, and basically it just means you have to turn off the devices and turn them back on again. And as long as you're using the same SSID and password, it should be seamless at that point. But yeah, there are a lot of devices that need to actually be turned off and turned back on.
Mm-hmm.
And I do that every time I upgrade from one router to another. I'll copy over all the configuration information from the old router to the new one, and then just cycle all of the devices, and they'll connect right up to the new router.
Yeah. If you're going to change the name of the SSID or change the password at all, it's not. You're going to have to manually go in and change everything. But
yeah,
sometimes
you don't want to do that. You want to use the same one.
Yeah. Yes.
Otherwise,
you can get it to be really
because
seamless.
of the number of devices you have. Yep.
Totally. But once you get it all figured out, it's really just set it and forget it. I mean, I feel like a lot of tech people want you to engage with it all the time, and we do want you to engage with the Nighthawk app and so on, and using all those features to actively control your network. But as far as setup and getting it ready to go, we want you to set it and forget it. We want you to put your router somewhere, and you don't have to worry about. We want it to be simple. We want all of the engagement. Sorry, go ahead.
Is Robin saying they're going to keep the Apple router in the network setup? Is that what they're saying?
I'm hoping not, because otherwise you're kind of losing the benefits of having the RBK52 in the system. But if the Apple router has special configurations that you've manually gone in and changed besides the SSID and password, then you'd want to copy those down and then put those same configurations in the RBK52. For instance, I've got port forwarding on my router. And so when I upgrade the router to another one, I go in and I manually put those port forwarding rules in my new router. But I wouldn't recommend leaving the Apple router in the whole equation there, because then you're losing the benefits of your RBK52, or most of the benefits of it.
Totally. It's going to be it's going to conflict a lot. If you're going to get the Orbi RBK system, take out the Apple router for sure. Question from Places and Spaces. Do any of you all use the Cat 8 cables in your network? If so, any noticeable improvements? Cat 8 is great. Rhymed. Sorry. Cat 8 is great, and it's a great protocol, and it's the newest protocol. But as far as using it in a home setting, you're really not going to see too much of a benefit, if any. I believe, Michael, a couple weeks back, you said there might actually even be a detriment to using Cat 8.
Mainly cost right now.
Yeah.
Well, a couple of things. One, on the Cat 8, a lot of the specs that you're seeing on the maximum throughputs on them are only for a short distance. On the longer runs, that massive throughput drops down dramatically and drops down to almost the speed of the lower cables. But as far as just using them to replace your current cables, the cost difference is dramatic between a Cat 8 and a Cat 6 or a Cat 5. You're probably going to be spending 5 or 6 times the amount of money for those Cat 8 cables. And you're not going to see any real benefits from them for quite a few years, because nothing uses the bandwidth that Cat 8 cables can actually support. But if you buy a Cat 8 cable right now, it is going to be probably better quality than a lot of the lower end cables that you can buy of Cat 5 or Cat 6.
Gotcha.
But is the money worth it? I don't think the money's worth it. It's just they're way too expensive. It's kind of like buying monster cables. You can buy monster cables, and yes, you know you're getting the highest quality cable, but you're also paying through the nose for them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think we've had a very similar question like that before, and you know, you nailed it, Michael. So cool stuff.
Yep.
Question from Sumya: is ping time the round trip or the one-way trip? It is the round trip, I believe.
It's the round trip.
Round trip.
Cool. Okay, and then question from Dan: are all devices compatible with WPA3? I didn't even know there was a WPA3. I thought it was WPA2.
Right, there is a newer standard WPA3 that's come out, and no, older devices aren't going to be compatible with the WPA3 security because they don't support it. They'll only go up to WPA2. As more devices come out that can support WPA3, yes, they will. But currently, I don't think I've even seen a single client device that I own that supports WPA3.
Got it. Okay, and then follow up from Robin, who clarified his point. No, I do not want to keep the Apple router. I have a lot of devices, some only working at the 2.4 gigahertz, and I'm not really wanting to set those up again. So, Robin, if you currently have your Apple router broadcasting separate SSIDs for the 5 gigahertz and the 2.4 gigahertz, name the respective channels on your new router those exact same SSIDs and use the exact same password. And hopefully it should be as easy as just restarting your IoT devices. And that should work. I mean, everything can be a little finicky in some ways, but that should do it. Question from Brendan: is it dangerous to call your SSID the model and name of your router, i.e. the network name being Nighthawk X6 2.4 gigahertz, in case of hackers, or am I being paranoid as I have passwords, etc.? You can call it whatever you want.
You can call it whatever you want, but honestly, why would you want to call it that? Because you're basically telling hackers the exact model that you have, and maybe it's not one of ours, that we try to make sure that security is as tight, as we can on our routers. But on anyone, if a vulnerability is found on that particular router, why would you want to let them know I happen to have this router, and then they can try exploiting that vulnerability? So I would recommend not naming it something like that. Honestly, I don't think it's really something you have to worry about. But as best practice, I wouldn't recommend doing that. Mm-hmm. And also make sure that when you're using passwords, use hard passwords, not anything easy, not something that someone can guess.
Yeah,
totally.
Like, yeah, if you name your SSID, your address, let's say, don't have your password like the Sullivans.
Right.
When that's your surname and they can look that up. I've always gone with the funny names for my SSID.
I was going to ask if anybody has a funny SSID.
I had Pretty Fly for Wi-Fi for a while. Let's see what else I've had. I've used FBI Van 32 before.
I like that one.
Because, and I think that if I remember correctly, that comes off of a story where the FBI were surveying these like mobsters, and they've got found out because their van was broadcasting that SSID.
That is so funny.
And the mobsters were like, "What? FBI Van 32?" Yeah, I just found that as
that's so funny.
That's good.
So there's an example of dangerous to call your SSID something dumb.
If any FBI agents are watching, we would highly advise best practice is to not
name
your SSID.
Don't do that.
SWAT team Van 8 or something like that. Yeah, I always try to find a pun with my my SSID, but on the password side, I defer to some different passwords where always try to keep it like where it doesn't make any sense. So that way it's something that isn't. If you are just keeping to the alphabet and it's just a name, that's 26 characters. So you'll want to really kind of, and we could probably do a whole thing on password encryption because it's really interesting, at least for some people.
Totally.
But yeah, click for virus. That's a great one.
Oh, that's I like that.
Yeah,
Nobody's gonna mess with your network.
Nobody's gonna mess with your Wi-Fi.
What's actually really great about some of the NETGEAR, well, all of the NETGEAR routers, is we actually provide a pretty decent password with most of them. And what I also really like about the NETGEAR routers, at least the newer ones, is it comes with a what's it called? Scanny barcode, QR code, and it'll automatically give you access to networks. So what we have here at my house is my router is like right in the living room. It's right there. And so when people come over, in theory, in the future, they can just scan the barcode. Because if you're in my house, you are welcome to connect to my Wi-Fi. Yeah, but
yeah, I have a follow-up on this. Anybody use the guest Wi-Fi feature?
Yes, I've actually used it in the past when my neighbor's internet went out. When she was out for probably about a week, and she needed internet access, so I set up the guest Wi-Fi and gave her the password to that, and she was able to log in from across the street and still have internet access for the week while she was out.
Michael's a generous Wi-Fi
I have
god.
used it. I've used it on a couple of occasions, not in recent memory, but I've had where let's just say I had a large get together of about 30 to 40 people, and I set up a guest network so that way they could use the guest network rather than finding out what my actual password was.
There you go.
And you also don't want them accessing your local network a lot of times. With the guest network, that keeps your local network completely separate. They get access to the internet, but they don't get access to anything else on your local LAN.
Yep.
Cool. We do have a comment here from Places and Spaces. People often forget to change the password on the modem from the default password. Easy to forget to change it. Yeah, I mean it is easy to forget to change it. Yeah. If
especially when it's like admin password, you know. And, not to say that like that's yeah, you really should. And that's why we started putting the sticker with a more complicated password to give people immediately out of the box, because I think for the longest time in the industry it was always admin password, and just because we're really big on security and privacy, and so we just want to make sure that the users have like something out of the gate that is when you're setting it up, that's a little bit, gives you a little bit more peace of mind than say admin password, because almost for a long time that was the default on almost everything.
Yeah, and that's one of the reasons why we did change it and start automatically assigning these random passwords to every unit that we shipped. Was at least they had a good password to start with, and then they could change it if they wanted to.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Is that QR code printed on the router? It's printed on a sticker. So if you change that you have the option of removing that sticker. Or let's say that you have that and you gave it to like your Uncle Bob. You could take it off and swap it out for something customizable.
Yeah.
And also that sticker is placed on the cellophane that's over the top of the router. It's not actually stuck on the router itself. We found in the past that when you stick it on the router itself and people try to remove it, you get all that sticky goop from the sticker left on the router, and they don't like it. We didn't like it, so now it goes on the cellophane on top. So when you take the cellophane off the router, you now have that sticker you can place wherever you want.
Yeah, you could scan it and print it out and put it on like a handout.
Yeah, and you can hand it out as party favors.
Yeah, there you go. Here's my Wi-Fi.
Yep.
I think it's a cool feature, and it just saves you having to be like, oh, my password is 123 ABC capital B. Just scan the code.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Got a comment here from Robin. I'm using the guest network for sure. Before I had the guest network, my friends found it funny to send images to the printer. that is pretty funny.
Those are good friends. Those are the kind of friends you want to have.
Yeah, not the ones that go in and hack all your devices.
Yes.
Yes.
I read like a couple, I think it was 2 years ago or so, like some hacker group was using printouts to send like messages out to tens of thousands of people. I think it was like they're sending out like political statements, and it would just be waiting on your printer in the morning. So these security things are valid concerns. It's very easy to be ignorant of their reality until it actually happens to you. But smart devices are very vulnerable and becoming much more recognized as such.
Yeah, and if you go back in the past when people used to have fax machines, you didn't even have to worry about hackers. They just needed to know the phone number of the fax machine and they could send stuff out.
Yep.
Yeah, really. I remember I used to have a fax machine.
And that was,
believe it or not.
And hackers would war dial.
Yes.
You just hit a list of numbers until you hit something.
You're just watching the movie War Games again.
Yeah, but it recently came up on trying to hack into Wi-Fi networks. War dialing is now war driving, where they drive around and try to log on.
That's actually what we're having now is telemarketers.
Yeah.
Where basically they have computerized systems calling batches and batches of numbers. If someone actually happens to pick up the phone, then that gets flagged as saying, okay, there's someone there. They'll actually answer the phone, and that way they now have a list that they can dial.
Oh my God!
And
yes.
Try to scam them in one way or another.
I saw this thing online. I love like conspiracy theories and like all these like cult stories. I feel like my people like they just love that. I don't know. I do. And there was this one where this company bought out a billboard and they put a phone number on it, and that was it. And if you call the phone number, it gives like this super cryptic thing, and like everybody was like, did you call this number? Like, did you hear what they say? Like, it's like somebody like counting to 10, and then like there's a scream occasionally. And it was literally just a ploy to farm active phone numbers. That was it.
Oh, wow.
I just thought that was a creative way to do that. I mean,
good but underhanded marketing ploy.
Yeah, you'd be surprised at like how countermeasures are only great for the current generation of hacking measures, because once those sort of countermeasures are in place, hackers are always going to try to find some other way of vulnerability, and now we get into that like endless cycle of cybersecurity. But it's something that's really important to us as a company, and we try to make sure that that we're on the try to stay ahead of the game.
Totally.
Robin, thanks for joining. We're getting down to the last couple minutes here, so if you and just ordered the RBK 852. Thank you.
852. Excellent.
Good stuff. We hope you enjoy it, and once you get it, if you're having any problems setting it up, you know where to find us. We're here every Friday from 12 to 2 Pacific time. So guys, get your last minute questions in. We'll be here for another 3 minutes.
3 minutes. So Esther comes up with a doozy for the last 3 minutes. Yep. Router downloaded the update today. Can't log in. False username and password. Okay, so one, what model of router? 2, what firmware did you update? And let's start from there. Let's see if we can do this in 3 minutes.
Yeah, I would also say.
Well, actually, there's also a couple of things there. One, obviously, do the first thing, check and make sure you don't have your caps lock key on. You always feel foolish when your caps lock's on and it's not taking your password. And the quick workaround to that, if it's just not taking it at all, is do a factory reset on the router. And then the admin and password is going to be the default for you to get in and reset it up. You could do a lot of troubleshooting trying to figure out why, but sometimes it's easier to take the easy path and just get it fixed as opposed to trying to figure out why it's no longer accepting it.
Yeah, I was going to say, maybe for some reason the firmware reset your name and password. Just try admin and password and see if you can get in.
Or try if you have one of the white stickers on your router, try the default.
Totally.
Mm-hmm.
We did have a question. I don't know if we already answered it or not, but if you throw out the QR code, where can you find it?
I don't know if that is printed anywhere inside the GUI. I don't think
so. Is it printed on the information on the bottom?
I don't think it is.
Nope. It would only be on the sticker that's on top.
So don't lose the sticker. That's a good point.
That's a good point.
We should add that to the Nighthawk app. Because then you can just be like, oh, here's my phone, scan my phone. That's a good suggestion. We'll bring that up with the Nighthawk team. I never thought about that. All right, I think we're down to the last about 30 seconds here. So thanks to everybody who tuned in. This was a record-breaking likes number on our stream. We got 28 people that gave
28.
Gave us the thumbs up.
Can we get to 30 before this ends? Is there a couple people that haven't?
Ben just
let me log in. I'll like myself.
That would be fantastic. No, it's not printed on the router. So yeah, I would do a factory reset.
Mm-hmm.
Do we have a KB article on how to factory reset?
Oh yeah, we have many KB articles on how to factory reset.
It's even a video.
Easy.
Yeah,
even a video.
And a video.
So plenty of resources.
Thanks, JD,
for that. Cool. Yeah. Well, I'm just gonna close out here. Thanks to everybody who tuned in. This was a really great stream. Lots of questions.
30. Boom. Thank you.
Oh, nice.
All right. Thanks a lot.
There we go. This was a great stream. Questions throughout the entire 2 hours. So we really appreciate you guys coming. We hope we can answer all your questions, and we hope you learned something, even if you didn't have a question.
Before we go, can we throw out the is Christine there? Can she throw out the address or if Angelo is on there of the support? If let's see, I think I
believe it's in the description.
Yeah, so Esther, take a look at the description and follow that. I know that you came in at the last couple seconds of the stream, so we want to be able to help you out. So follow in the description, going to mynetgear.com and send us a email, and we'll try to help you out from there.
Cool. That should close out the stream. I don't believe we will be here next Friday, unfortunately. We may schedule it, but make sure to stay tuned on social channels to get the full scoop on when we'll be live. Thanks again, guys, for a successful stream, and we will see you very soon.
I think in 2 weeks.
Yep. And have a great weekend.
Have a great weekend. Stay safe.